Yeah, exactly. And I, at the very least, had the chance to speak with FNK just a little bit longer a couple of weeks ago during an interview, and he is, by no stretch of the imagination, somebody to slouch over in any way, shape, or form. He is probably one of the most confident IGLs that I've actually had the pleasure of speaking to, but this man's resolve is just completely unbreakable. It doesn't matter how badly poop hits the fan in the server, for example, he is always, in some way, shape, or form, always able to sort of enact himself as the brunt of the spear and always lead the boys over towards a W. This man's resolve, it is unchanged and unflustered. But let's hop right into the first and opening pistol round versus Lodis, and they're going to be starting off on the T side, trying to slowly creep their way over towards mid. Not a whole lot of resistance except for Quartz, who's going to find first contact right here. Well, relatively easy cleanup coming on there.
Yeah, very easy cleanup there. Very good by the Prodigies. They completely sweep everything over, but it's all a ruse. The bomb is planted on the A bomb site. Lovely grenade there, dropping Nessie down to 29 HP, and this should be fairly easy for the Prodigies. They've got the retake smoke in. That retake smoke isn't actually going to do anything for them because there's no one towards ramp, but with FNK holding that kit, it's pretty easy. Zurus, lovely hold there. 4 kills in total, 2 towards B, 2 towards A. At the start, Straxy takes the majority of the contact and just palms it off to the rest of the people while staying alive.
Yeah, and I think the turning point of that entire round has to definitely be sort of this ingress over towards the B bomb site where they're trying to hop over towards the cones, and we have the Prodigies just immediately shutting down and basically closing off the door for Lodis, forcing them to actually rotate from that B bomb site, and it makes things super duper awkward where you have to obviously adapt on the fly in the middle of a pistol round left in a 4v2 scenario. Now obviously Lodis, they did get themselves that bomb plant down, so they can afford to buy up in this next round over here. Same thing goes for the Prodigies though. Armories, they are relatively evened out over here, so it does mean that Lodis can still put up a fight.
Very interesting UMP. Not necessarily something you tend to see too commonly used. Used to be very in fashion olden days, but oh my god, okay, Polo 17. That is crisp. Takes the long-range dual first on Quartz, and then is able to isolate that angle on Zurus. Superb from him early on, and that's the Prodigies already on a 2-man deficit. And with their reaction, they're taking control towards B, then allowing SBT to come to A, if in time to help FNK.
This is going to be crucial. Timing is of the essence right here for FNK. Swing or not to swing. Smokes are going to be tossed on through as SBT is scrounging for intel, but here comes FNK with the first, denies the plant as well. Lodis, from such a great start off, aren't really quite able to nail the coffin just yet. SBT finds in another one as Frio is going to let that smoke dissipate, potentially going for the wide swing right now as Straxy is moments away from joining back in on the fun, but still, this is so uncomfortable for the side of Lodis. Everything has been scrapped. Straxy finally does catch him out, finally gets the second as well onto Frio, closing things off as Prodigies are 2 for 2 on Vertigo.
That is such a nice resolve to that round. At the beginning, there's no way that Lodis should be losing that. You know, these first 2 kills here, you basically have a free bomb site, and I don't understand why you're sending the one low HP player from Lodis to try and clear short. Like, you understandably know there's gonna probably be a player there, and if you're playing at this level, like, it's kind of expected. I think you should understand things like that. But no, they overlook something, and Lodis now on a full eco, they try to do something gimmicky, 5 nades over towards ramp, no one's offers themselves up, and it looks like it will be just the SMGs to farmhouse alongside SBT. That's only 2 for the SMG, an extra $1,200 in his pocket. He'll take that any day of the week. And now we get on the serious gun rounds where Polo 17, who opened up the round with the Galil last time, is looking to now do it with the AWP.
Yeah, so hopefully in this next round coming up, we'll be able to see exactly how the sausage gets made for the side of Lodis. The full buy coming on through, as you mentioned, and our star entry of round number 2 is going to be picking up the big old green. If he's able to find a glorious entry as he did with the Galil just 2 rounds ago, then this could certainly prove to be quite difficult to combat, but a full rush coming on through that elevator side is going to be met with some stern resistance. Nesty finds both Zurus and FNK, who got a little bit too overly ambitious right there.
Gotta respect the player. They just kind of roll the dice. They peek the right side, which is the side you normally do anticipate them to be, and it doesn't work out. And they end up giving away 2 quick kills for free. Lodis now slowing it right down. I like this, but to be honest, when you've got 2 kills that quickly, I feel like you can sometimes lay into the trouble that they had last time of having maybe potentially something exactly like this happen.
Oh,
that's nice.
Yeah. Straxy, though, is going to clap back with one onto Frio. Famas is good for 1. Still placing the Prodigies back into a 2v4 scenario. And, well, with the amount of space that Lodis have been able to create for themselves, they're going to start ingressing up towards this A ramp. And they're likely going to find an empty bomb site at the very tip top of it as well, since Straxy and Quartz, unable to really upgrade that Famas to something a bit more potent, but they're just going to try to hold on to this for as long as possible, or they might actually try to combat this and see if they can take a couple of extra Ts alongside themselves to the grave. Quartz is going to let that bomb plant go down, nades tossed on through, and he's actually going to get aggressive, go for the challenge. He finds both of them, surprisingly enough. We might have a round on our hands right here.
That is really, really strange. I have no idea how these just given up 2 there. They seem to be going for a boot. I don't know what they were doing there, but they land up into each other, and Straxy has to get the 1v2 here, sticking the bomb. Wait, is he just going to get it all? 5-second defuse. They're coming out the smoke. Does he anticipate the AWPer to be there? No, he doesn't. He's directing his attention towards ramp. Spots out the AWPer, USP in hand. Click, click, click. He misses everything, and it's actually the Glock to come out on top. First round for Lodis on the back of that star player we were mentioning.
Not meant to be for the side of the Prodigies, but it came so damn close as well. I really think it was an ill-advised decision for them to try to go for that 2v4 combat right over there, but this mistake coming out from Lodis, trying to go for the boost, it really came to bite them back in the backside. But either way, the Prodigies with one more buy round. Let's go ahead and tune into the team comm, see how they handle things.
Guys, remember I need to hold like this so they cannot pick me down.
Flash in B.
They molly me, Ivy.
Donate.
I'm not
Molly
stepped mid.
close.
Peeking down.
He's close ramp. I heard him.
How much on I?
I'm still holding.
One flashed on mid.
I have
Oh,
yellow.
mid pop, Straxy.
Yeah, mid pop.
I'm
pinging Jen.
going back.
I flash
walking
mid,
B.
I go
I'm
Maybe,
full
maybe
ASI.
city, guys. Careful city.
He's strong
One
class.
heaven.
I'm nading Evan.
Could be 2A.
Evan, step 1.
Fancy city.
One heaven.
Mid,
Just watch video.
mid, one more mid.
Right, I flash mid. Flashing mid.
Up on A. I think they want to split
Come
A.
city with me. Come city with me, Straxy.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Watch my Evan.
Can be elevator, too.
In connector.
In the
Yes, connector. I will clear
Gonna
connector.
clear city.
I
Don't
have
see city.
connector.
Let's clear mid with me, Straxy.
He took
Okay.
nades from mid.
It's me.
Ah.
Picking.
I'm leaving connector.
Nothing mid. I'm gonna push. Just
There is
play
a
take on B. I'm
Can
gonna
be
push
Ivy
mid.
or no?
No.
This is full, I guess.
I'm gonna push B behind.
I'll
Then
need
they will
plant
be
if
B.
they-
Don't push
Yeah.
B, don't push B.
I
It's
won't,
probably B.
No, I'm beyond mid. I will push behind
Yeah,
them,
we
you know?
should go into site. Just
Yeah, we should
Okay.
play side.
1A, dead.
There you
One
go.
more.
There you go.
Dead.
One more.
Cam behind. They're
Mid
pushing.
for
I'm
plant.
flashing by nade for you, may I?
Just do pressure
flash
from me,
instantly.
guys.
Flash instantly.
Well, Ivy close to you. Ivy,
Last
Ready,
off,
swing with me.
off.
Come. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm behind.
Nice.
Let's go.
Don't take
Take
this,
it.
don't take the up, fuck it.
Don't.
I don't know what are they doing on
Okay.
mid, but... Okay.
Clean round coming on through from the Prodigies, and also props to Zurus right over there, because he was able to buy the rest of the squad enough time to rotate and just keep an already bad situation from getting much worse with those 2 op shots right over there. Really great stuff coming on through to once again shut the door down on Lodis and force them back to simply playing with those Glocks and a couple of upgraded pistols.
I'd say I'd actually kind of go on the controversy and say that that was a very scrappy round from the Prodigies with how they didn't seem to understand that like they were out middle. K-Words, you see, he just kind of peeks and he's like, oh, they're middle. It's like, oh yeah, but like we kind of knew that, and their ability to take back the control came a little bit slow, and they got a little bit lucky that Lodis. Actually, I'd say
Called
they
for the
made the
rotate.
mistakes. Yeah, they made the mistakes, and they had an opportunity to pounce on something, and they didn't. in towards like CT there, for instance. But now this is a pretty clean round. Straxy is going to get support by firstly SBT's flashbang and then his rifle. Yes, Straxy will fall, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. You're only losing one player. It's fine for the economy, and Lodis, they'll be back on their gun rounds, or is back out as well. But yeah, really nice from Zurus there, as you were saying.
Yeah, exactly, and I will have to agree with you on that because the initial take that came on through from the side of Lodis, it looked relatively strong, but at the moment that they got themselves that mid control, they were very, very hesitant to finally actually go for that B pop as well. Obviously, there was a smoke down and it did dissipate, but they didn't quite know what to do with themselves except for retreat. That was the only option, and hopefully they're going to try to mix things up right over here. They've got a little bit of presence going over towards the stair side, as we do have Polo drawing first blood onto the IGL of FNK, so sadly, he's going to have to call for his squad from the respawn screen.
Zurus trying to make a play as well, I think, over towards the B-bomb site, and Straxy will be trying to attempt to trade him, and it seems like this will be another round for Lodis. SBT and Quaz kind of close in rotation. The bomb is coming up. There is a world they can deny us, especially with this Molotov here, very nicely placed towards default. It's going to force Virtuo just kind of in front. I'm seeing what K-Watts is doing. He's going to come back towards middle. He's very conscious of a mid-aggression.
SBT blindly spraying on through, does get shut down though by Nesty. Yeah, good gap. Well, at the very least, well utilized by the side of Nesty and Quartz. Not left a whole lot of options except for to simply, you know, tuck tail and head for the hills right over there and just try to keep this A1S intact. Potentially get away with a couple of exits, but this is going to be a second round locked in for the side of Lodis on the T side so far. And Quartz not really willing to go down just yet. If he does, at the very least, strip out a couple of rifles, potentially even just one or two, and make it super duper costly for the side of Lodis in the next upcoming round in the buy, that is still a decent amount of work done. But nothing to be presented to him at all. Or?
Ooh, oh,
Ouch.
wait, that's actually very unfortunate he dies there, because their money isn't exactly in the best position. That's a really nice shot there from Polo start off. And yeah, there's a weird little gap there for SPT, and I don't think he realized that, and I honestly didn't realize that when I was watching him. It was only when we spectated Lodis that I think I clocked it. I would assume this is a tactical pause, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Prodigies have called this, just because we can see like the money's in a very weird position. And I think honestly, because so they'd only have they'd have 1900 lost next round. I wouldn't be surprised if we do just see a full eco, as they do have that 4-round advantage already. I think they can afford to subsidize at least one round in regards to just having a much better buy.
Yeah, no, I'd wholeheartedly agree with that. At this certain stage, you've probably got enough to go for a full buy with an MP9 or potentially just whip out a 5.7, whip out a 5.7 or a Deagle, but that is probably the most that you want to do, and a full buy with an SMG is just very ill-advised. So we do have a couple of upgraded pistols and just minimal util, one incendiary and one one smoke to work with, and realistically, you don't necessarily need much more in this kind of round. A heavy stack over towards A. They're looking to potentially try and catch one lost soul swaying away too far from home on the side of Lodis and just strip them of one of their rifles. I did also catch out FNK with a taser.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
Where even is he? He's towards shore. Okay, I could see this working. You've got, I think, one upgraded Deagle on SBT and then a P250 on Zurus. Zurus will be able to get that AWP out next round. SBT did have a Molotov and smoke early. I'm not sure exactly where he placed it, but yeah, these AK and AWP is just going to farm towards ramp here. I think they're just going to be going into the meat grinder, being churned up, and yeah, it's pretty just easy pickings for these guys. Stamping down the stats a little bit, buffing them up, and that will be a pretty easy round. As I was saying, they can afford to subsidize a round like that, and they will have 1900 loss bonus going into this round. You can see there's a full buy. You got four A1Ss and an orb, and we'll see what their comms are like going into round number 9.
Oh,
He's
Flash.
holding crane.
But I have it
The
every
op is
time.
holding crane.
I'm just using my nade on B.
Do it,
Nothing
do it.
else. Take my molly.
I'm nading me.
I gave you the one more flash here.
I will flash.
On B.
I'm flashing.
It's too late. There we
Up
top.
under A.
Open door, you should be on B then.
Yeah. You
I'm
wanna fight?
leaving mid.
I will molly
Yeah,
right
we
side.
retake. I will do spirit. Go wood, Foxy.
Yeah.
I will smoke and molly for you.
I will do one way for myself.
I don't
You
see
ready?
ramp.
Flashing.
Nothing ramp. Go away, go B, go B.
You hit him with flash.
Or rotating.
Careful, beat gap.
Dead.
Nice.
One more. Two more with bomb.
Sanson. Pushing B.
Coming.
B.
One
One
more.
flash stairs now.
Huh?
Boom.
Two
One
B
more.
lobby.
Nice, I
Two
hold
B.
mid. Both?
Yeah, both.
Double ping. 3, 2, 1.
10 HP.
10 HP on the right.
10 HP as well, both.
Sound.
Last up.
Yeah, he was stairs. We heard him.
I think he's not 10 HP.
Okay.
You win this. Just on
White,
left
white,
side.
white,
Under.
white.
Nice. Oh yeah, he was 10. I
Oh,
didn't
so
kill.
smart.
Oh my
Chris.
god. Bro, I say 3 times white, but I was muted.
Sorry, at the end there. I say 3 times he was white, but my mute was muted. You could hear the panic in his voice. I think that might be in Zurus, but either way, that was again, I'd say quite a clustered round. Straxy does well to get the first, but I would argue that he does overextend a little bit. He misses the first initial spray and then tries to make up for it a little bit too much. But lovely supporting flashbangs. I'm actually not sure who threw it, but it was lovely comms, lovely flashbangs. And oh, look at this fast play. And again, the flashbangs are going to be perfect. Straxy has just assisted his teammate perfectly, and the Frenchman himself will get 2 with the MP9.
Not a bad start off to, well, stave off a little bit of this aggression and keep Lodis from actually formulating a really, well, I want to say, sound beachhead over towards this B staircase, but Polo is going to open up the door, removes the head of Straxy clean off of his shoulders, and that's going to force us into the 3v3 as the Prodigies have been basically blocked off, but Zurus still has an angle to work with, but that flashbang is going to keep him from pulling the trigger on the big old green right here. Lodis, they've successfully broken a hole through this bomb site, but the bomb itself is still a couple of meters away. Will be picked off right there by Frio, so somebody's going to have to recover that. At least they can now go for a default plant. Oh, that's a shot coming on through from Polo as well to shut down Zurus as FNK is going to tap him up. Polo finally goes down as Quartz is coming in for the wraparound in the 2v1.
Yeah, I was going to say FNK just has to survive because Loku just needs to keep on being distracted, and now they know that Quartz is here. He's making a lot of noise. He doesn't have a kit, but he will land the shot. Very nice indeed, and that is the Prodigies elevated up to a 7th round.
Indeed it is. Really good start off with Straxy being able to flash SBT in. He found himself 2 kills with the MP9 over there, just spraying and praying and outright dumping the mag over towards the staircase. But even in that man disadvantage situation, Lodis really gave the Prodigies a run for their money with the trades that were coming on through, and Polo as well with that opener to shut down the player that was over towards Heaven. That opened things up and gave them enough space to go for that bomb plant, but a little bit of mismanagement on the util side. It cost them an extra player when they were trying to rotate that bomb physically in the bomb site to actually get it down. There was a gap in the smoke that Zurus exploited to his fullest potential right over there. It could have been cleaner from Lodis, but they still are in a position to keep mounting up even more pressures. They've got plenty of cash to continue buying on through.
Yeah, it just feels like Lodis are genuinely making quite a lot of small mistakes, and the Prodigies, I think, playing devil's advocate a little bit and maybe being a little bit harsh as well, they are making mistakes, but they're being allowed to get away with it because of Lodis not capitalizing a lot of the times. Like it's for instance, I think, that just 1v1 with the AWP, like he takes his time way too much, and if he did advance a little bit quicker, he would have realized that, for instance, Quest was behind him. But that round as well is that you're in that 2v2 and you just kind of trade out and you just miss an aim battle, to be honest, at the end there.
Yeah.
There's not much to say about that. I think it was Loku just, and to be fair, a nice position. Surprised that he gets pre-aimed there. I feel like fair play for pre-aiming that. Quite an impressive angle to anticipate. And he just loses the aim battle. So they do get the bomb down, so they will get a buy-in. But this is a map where definitely at the lower echelons, you do see it being a lot more CT-sided. when you get higher up, you do tend to see maybe it being like it is naturally CT sided, as we are just obviously we're in a CT meta. However, there is, I would say, it's one of those maps which I put in the same vein as like a Dust 2 or Mirage, where you do have a lot of capability to actually have a decent T side, whereas a lot of like the Nukes, Overpasses, Ancients, having a good T side is like, oh my god, that's amazing. Whereas here it's like, it's actually, it's not that surprisable. But the Prodigies is a really, really prolific start, very impressive, and a bit late out spawn there for Quirts. Doesn't quite realize it's back after the technical timeout. But the Prodigies 4 rounds to the good, looking to make it 5.
Exactly, and speaking of 5, that's how many rounds are also left over in this opening half right over here. So the score line, it can take all kinds of different shapes and forms before we move on to that second split. Famas in the hands of Quartz so far over towards short, and he is just fishing for a little bit of information. Nobody on the receiving end to meet them, however. Paulo is banking on the fact that somebody on the side of Prodigies will get a bit curious. FNK actually does with the jump spot right over there, and Polo lets him skirt on back.
And looks like Lodis, they are grouping up towards this A bomb site right now. Neste just throwing utility towards short, making sure that no one can aggress and allowing them just to walk up. They're going to replenish that Molotov. Zerus is going to get tagged in. That's a lot of comms for Lodis. They're actually spamming, but they're hitting the wrong player. They don't realize there's 2 there, and what a nade on the Zerus. He's basically dead to rights, but look how many players are here for the Prodigies. 4 of them. They have a read, but Zerus, he's taking damage from literally everything.
Yeah, every single source is just going to slowly chip away at his health bar. Death by 1,000 paper cuts is the story for Zerus right here. He needs to get at least 1 to have an impact. Misses out on the initial shot. That wide swing from Virtuo was just a bit too strong. He doubles down and finds the head of SBT as FNK tries to wildly spray down on the boost, but this bomb site has been fully compromised. And the Prodigies are simply going to have to, well, count their losses right over here and just head for the hills. A good power through, relentless stuff coming out from Lodis. They did not falter, and they weren't willing to go down and give up this round without a fight.
Yeah, I also respect as well the save coming in here. They don't have much money, and it's a very unwinnable retake. So allowing these 3 weapons in the next round, they could maybe scramble together something and definitely put them to good use. But Lodis still keeping it very contestable here in this game, 7-4. They're not out of it just yet, and that was a round where, to be honest, that could have gone very badly for them as the Prodigies had such a good stack over to the sides.
Yeah, that's the point that I actually just wanted to bring up, because the only player that was out over towards B was actually Straxy, anchoring down by himself. For the rest of it, it was just, as you mentioned, 4 people stacked over towards the A bomb site. If Zerus was able to get that opening shot, and if, well, the replay and the actual sort of moments in and of itself serves my memory and kind of benefit, he was like a couple pixels away from being able to get the like shot in the entry right over there. If he was able to get that first pick with the AWP, setting us into a 4v4 scenario physically on the A bomb site, it would have been an entirely different story, and the script would have been flipped entirely. Who's to say exactly how it could have gone? But either way, with now us just moving into round number 12, let's go ahead and hop into the team comms for the Prodigies.
You, Straxy.
Yeah. I'm gonna nade, then I'll ask
I
for
will hold the
flash.
deep ramp flash.
Careful, I don't have mid, guys.
Nice, this really late smoke.
Hit it.
Can you
gonna
only in
start-
the
I'm
woods?
gonna start- no, no,
Okay,
I'm gonna
wait,
start.
wait.
No one here.
I'm coming. I'm here.
Did they smoke ramp?
Nothing B, guys.
Flash
You
one,
should
I
leave
flash
me,
one,
you should leave me alone, Straxy. And go with your M4A.
They molly mid. They take middle
One,
now.
yeah, I took mid.
Oh, they smoked deep
Yeah,
ramp.
Just give me your molly, Straxy, and it's okay. Take my flashes, because I don't need.
Nice. I flash on you.
I have nothing B, guys, carefully. Should gamble A.
I'm rotating.
Just play free on A, guys.
Flash.
Rotating.
I'm good on B, I have molly and smoke.
Anything.
Okay.
I run back.
Can they be up ramp?
No, not yet. In 5 seconds they can.
I have flashes, bro. I can be ready to flash gap. Go ramp.
1B.
Uh,
Dinked me. It's okay. I saw only one.
We should play
I
for
have it ready.
retake. It doesn't matter. We should play for retake.
We can maybe, like, I don't know. Like, the mid is fucked. But I should go quad, maybe.
Let's push mid together, Zeris.
Okay, I'm blocking mid. B, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm just being safe. P. They molly wood on B.
Yeah, we're pushing mid.
I will
Mercy,
go
can you
right.
flash gap?
Yeah, I'm flashing gap.
B smoke, B exec, B exec.
Yeah, rotate.
Uno,
Axel,
uno.
rotate.
Not pushing, not pushing.
Okay.
Are waiting.
Wait.
One A.
I will kill
I'm
B
gonna kill the
lot.
plant.
Let B lot. Coming,
Nothing,
I'm
eh?
coming, I'm coming. I will bait for you, Lodis.
I have 1 HP. Can give me
Both
the
con, I
audio
think.
chill.
Watch out.
We have smoke
I heard
flash.
it. It was
That's-
gap or con.
Let me clear.
Guys, listen. I will smoke right side, then I will flash gap for you, okay?
Yes.
Playing it
Go
late.
to it.
Smoke in right side now.
Wait.
Wait for the smoke. I go
Can be
first.
under heaven?
No.
Okay.
Flashing
Flash.
there.
Flash. Biting left.
Two.
Dead.
One more on right.
2!
Again, one more right. Big
Wait,
one,
I
danger.
kill him.
Fast.
Need to go, we need to run.
Oh, don't die. Nice try, nice try.
Playing all close.
Man, that retake almost actually bore some fruit for the Prodigies. They came into the round with just 3 rifles and managed to upgrade their armory with an AWP as well, but these couple of engagements over towards short didn't quite work out. They buddied up, but sadly they all lost out on their ones individually, and Lodis just got the better of them in the post plant.
I think Loka got an ace there as well. A lot of gaps in the defense of the Prodigies there, where you see they were offering to take space towards A, and it's nice they did it towards the middle as well, because it was like they were scared of mid, and they finally did take it. Nice little fake actually just awards them that round, because of the flank just comes in a little bit too slowly, and now a pretty much full eco for the Prodigies. You got Deagle armor on Quirts, FNK, Deagle on armor, and then I think that is just a 5-7 on Straxy. Honestly, I don't expect them to do too much here. I think it will probably be most likely an eco, a round for Lodis. 7-6 then, there's still a chance that the Prodigies could lose this half after having such a dominant lead.
Ballsy play coming from Zerus as well to nab the Prince stream under his belt. Still in the 4v5, Lodis don't feel all too comfortable execing over towards A, but with those 2 entries, courtesy of Frio, as I believe he collapsed both SBT and Straxy right into next Friday, they might just have an opening right here to go for the plan, and Zerus is going to get shut down, so this is pretty much a no-brainer right here for Lodis. A 6th round under their belt, and it is going to take more than a miracle for Quartz to be able to muster up something right here in the 1v5.
Maybe gets 1 kill on the exit, but because he has armor, I think he might actually just try and save this. A weapon would be so valuable, considering they only have around 2,400 loss for the next round. It's not going to be too sustainable for that much utility, and he can just hear them jumping around. He can hear them picking up utility, so as he's dancing through, Polo 17 will just be holding for him. That's going to be a pretty easy round for them. Not too much to say about that, and now this is a round where it's pretty important. Prodigies win this, they could be looking like a 9-6 half. If they lose this one out, it very much could be a half one. A game is I think the game is paused currently as well, so
yeah,
it is just going to be a tactical pause. And the Prodigies, this is definitely one where you start looking at the mental constraint of the teammates, and I was talking about the confidence you have, the experience you have on some of these players, especially like Quirts. Zerus as well, we didn't mention him. I've casted him multiple times on the eSuba roster. Like, he's a guy who has serious experience in like tier 3 CS. So I think for games like this, it isn't that big of a deal with them if they're starting to lose out. I think that's one of the biggest differences between the Prodigy teams that we've had throughout the seasons. It's just the pure experience in these players are like their proper experience.
Yeah, they very, very much are, and when you bring all of that experience together into one cohesive unit, well, there's not a whole lot of rosters that can really prove to be the best competition, but Lodis, on the other hand, well, they've so far been able to scrounge up 6 rounds, as you can see on the T side, and they're looking to make it a 7th right over here, potentially even an 8th moving into the halftime. Bomb plant goes down in record time as well. They're trying to speed run their way through this T half so far, and that was also a full buy coming out from the Prodigies with minimal util, and they they just weren't really present right here in this round as Polo picks up yet another one, shuts down FNK. Quartz trying to move in through that smoke as well, but Loku, oh no, I thought that Loku had his number right over there, but Quartz actually collapsed back with an extra one. Zurus in tandem as well. Nesty keeping it neat and tidy within the bomb site, finds one, leaving Zurus on minimal HP. Easy cleanup coming on through from Polus as Lodis tie up the score line in a blood-soaked bow.
So close there at the end. They had no right to winning that 2 versus 4, and it genuinely became contendable. Very unfortunate timings. Straxy was turning from that last flashbang that SBT had thrown high right, and just, you know, as he's turned, they peek into him. They're now put on this really janky buy of 3 FAMASs, MP9, A1S, no kits on the board, a handful of utility. Ideal, this is not.
Not in the slightest. Oh, and that makes things even worse right there. Polo catches Quartz as he was trying to skirt off through the rafters, through the smoke as well. And that's going to leave Zurus all on his lonesome to hold on to that short, and Straxy as well, not willing to combat the mid presence so far, but at least he's gathered a little bit of intel for the Prodigies to work off with. FNK willing to go for a gamble, try to tip the scales back in the favor of the Prodigies, but it goes horribly wrong as Loku somehow is able to get himself a 2-piece right over there, dismantling the A site hold entirely.
Looking like a really good salvation as Haas from Lewis. You got to give it to them. They have come back quite tremendously on this T side, throwing in different rounds of speed and just varying it up and keeping the Prodigies on their toes, which did seem to be their downfall. Haven't seen as much from the likes of Quartz, for instance, that I was expecting, especially Zurus in that AWP. Like, he had some good elements at the beginning, but oh my god, Luco has cracked. He has had some rounds. He had an ace in that 1v3, or the 1v4 he got in the rounds we were watching the comms. He's just got a 4K there. He is clinical. He seems to be the kryptonite of Prodigies right now, and hats off to that man.
Indeed. Moving into the second half, I think it's clear as day that the Prodigies, they're going to need to put a bullseye on Loku's back and try to shut him down as soon as humanly possible. But correct me if I'm wrong, is that not 4 or potentially even 5 rounds in a row for the side of Lodis to actually close off that first half in their favor? Because they were at a certain point 7-3 down in terms of round count.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was even worse than that. It might, because I think it was 6-0 or 5-0 at one stage. So either way, in the last few rounds, they won a significant amount of rounds in a row. And let's see if they'll be able to continue that in the second half, or will the Prodigies be able to pull it back? But first, we are going to go to a quick ad break. Q Loco, this seems to be the kryptonite of Prodigies. The 18-year-old from Poland is absolutely tearing them a new one. This is a team that has kind of struggled in and around ESEA main for the last 2 seasons, and now they're looking to go through to playoffs and eventually make it to advance. And beating the Prodigies here for Lodis would be some step, putting them 8-2 in ESEA main. I think that would make them 1 win away from the playoffs, where the Prodigies, they've already secured playoffs. They're looking for just seeding now. And to be honest, on the way they're looking at, if they continue in this form, they will be getting a pretty high seeding. But this is where they can't falter to a team that definitely is seemingly below their belt, because it just seems like the Prodigies, they are playing good Counter-Strike. They get caught off guard by just the likes of Q Loco acing them every other round.
Yeah, I mean, that is that's essentially been the entire story for that first half right over there. Loco's been kicking so much ass that he forgot to take names entirely, getting multi-kill after multi-kill, and it is a wee bit surprising at the exact same time, because when we're taking a look at the sheet for the side of Lodis, this is actually the first time in the regular season that they've actually whipped out Vertigo. Up until this point, they have been just through and through, you know, part of the French J Club, your average nuke enjoyers, and to have them put up this kind of performance at the very least on that T side with 8 rounds to their name, it is quite something to write home about.
Yeah, very impressive. I think they can actually honestly take that. I'm interested to see now if their CT side will hold up to the same degree. Prodigies know that they are very common to a overtime, as they did literally have it last time on Vertigo, and they were able to power through. So if it goes the limits, not necessarily going to be against them. You have a smoke and flash on Frio for Lodis, and a dual brothers on Nesty. First contact will be Polo. He's not he's always hiding. He's not peeking. He's in towards those sandbags, and that's a wonderful first frag for SBT. They smoke out CT, and it is just the Prodigies tearing them down. They've got to be careful, because these dual Berettas could be quite damaging, and that's exactly what I was scared of. 2 kills to put it back into a 3 versus 3. But look at Quers. They just need to hold off and wait for him to come in from the back lines.
That could be the saving grace. Flashbang over the top, and SBT doesn't stand a chance. Straxy's going to have to forfeit this space and reposition over towards short. But we've got Virtuo on the opposing end, ready to meet him up. Here comes Quartz in with the flank finally, but it's a little too late. Absolutely amazing round coming out from Nesty as well, doing his best impression of Lara Croft, just farming with the Deagle. Regardless as to whether or not, you know, the Prodigies were able to get themselves that bomb plant after an absolutely barn burner of an opener over towards mid. Lodis, they just absolutely came alive, and they were in their element after that 3v3 actually got established.
Yeah, I think a big part of that as well is SBT on site. He stays default. He chooses just to fight Lodis, which I'm not necessarily sure if I agree with, because you have that flank coming in. You kind of know it's a 2 versus 3, and because Straxy is hiding, playing for that flank, you have just taken a 1 versus 3 on site. Gets full blind as well. And yeah, that's a really unfortunate pistol round for the Prodigies. The bomb goes down though, so as you were saying, they will get a buy-in. There's 2 Glils, Mac 10, 2 Tech 9s, and a full belt of utility on someone like Zurus, plus lots scattered around the boat. You've got two players towards mid on Freo. He's gonna get caught off in guard. 2 players towards B. Both have been spotted. Straxy cannot open this up, and a smoke grenade dropped on Heaven will just pretty much let Lodis farm everyone up, and it's all down to Quertz and Zurus.
Flashbang come on. Lovely flash as well. Zurus slow to capitalize, but the Tech 9 does get a connection. It gets a second one as well onto Polo. Brilliant game sense coming on from him, but Quartz is going to be caught with his pants around his ankles as we have Zurus trying to come back in, wrapping on through as the bomb was dropped. The side of Lodis, they already had that bomb down on lock as well. They're the first to join the double digits club as they hit 10. The Prodigies, well, forfeiting 3 rounds at the very start of, no, forfeiting just 2 rounds, excuse me, at the very start of this second half. But it did get close right over here. What a play coming out from Zurus. It almost amounted to something quite memorable.
Yeah, very unfortunate they were caught off as Quertz was with the bomb. I wasn't sure which player had the bomb, and I was really hoping it was Zurus. I was like, please tell me Zurus is the one who has the bomb so we can at least get it planted. But a round that, to be honest, never really should have actually got that close in the first place. It's one of those really weird ones as well. You're unfortunate that you lost, but then you got to be like, oh, like, you know, there's no way we should have been able to get 2 Tech 9 kills there in middle.
Yeah.
But definitely a few disappointed faces across the board here, because you are down now 10-7 when you were up 7-3, and there is a short technical pause coming through. I think it's like the 3rd one we've had this game, so hopefully it's nothing serious. And I think there are some players getting up and walking away. Quertz doesn't have a headset on right now, so I don't know if it's anything to do with him. And I think that's FNK has got out of his chair as well, but headsets are all back on. When FNK sits back down, we should be good back to go, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, a very tight game so far, and the Prodigy is most definitely on the back foot here.
It is going to not necessarily require a miracle for them to come back on this T side so far, but the one point that you look towards to when it comes to them actually starting to mount a comeback is just getting out a full buy and just a little bit of luck on their side as well. With that particular force buy that just came on through, I do believe that it is going to, well, set their eco back into shambles. I'm gonna surmise that everyone is going to be sitting at around 2k bucks on average, so there's likely going to be relegated to simply using Glocks in the next upcoming round so far. But either way, they have been having relatively good start-offs to the opening 2 rounds that we have seen so far. If they can keep up that exact same level of raw, unbridled aggression where they are consistently securing entries, then it does, at the end of the day, force Lodis into a very uncomfy position where they're they're holding on to the man disadvantage and they have to claw their way back into each and every single round. But moving into round number 18, scoreline is obviously 10-7 so far. The Prodigies have only got upgraded pistols to work with. Hopefully they can let those Deagles sing their sweet song of death, but it is going to be Polo with the M4, A4 finding the first pick onto FNK instead.
God, I feel like a bit of an unlucky curse right now. I come in for my first game of the season this season, and they're on a very difficult position right now. Polo does just kill himself. Okie dokie. that's not necessarily the trajectory you want to be progressing in if you're Lodis. That's a wee bit unfortunate. Just making sure that the fire is actually warm, and he does confirm that.
Yeah. And there's
nice.
Frio as well. Nope. Not exactly the outcome that I was expecting. They did, at the very least, get themselves 1 kill, but that was courtesy of Polo, as you said, burning himself at the stake instead. Yeah, we got that on full replay. You can definitely bank on us spreading that all over socials. We're gonna ridicule Polo just a little bit later on. We do engage in a wee bit of tomfoolery over here, but 3 rounds in a row so far for the side of Lodis and the Prodigies. They finally mustered up enough of a bank so they can properly whip out the tools of destruction that are needed for them to maybe get themselves on the scoreboard in this second split.
Yeah, looking to get some info and some impact on that AWP on this T side now. I feel like it dropped off quite a bit on that C side towards the end. Didn't really see it have as much impact, and Loku just being a thorn in their side consistently. He's having an absolute game. Only 19 to 11, but I feel like I remember every single one of his kills, and they always seem to be such high impact and also just very clinical, topping the scoreboard for the whole server right now. And they're just doing well, Prodigies, at spreading their attack all over the place. And especially SBT here on Wood might catch one of the players off guard, but no, instead he gets caught off guard. The double aggression from Lodis awards them in round number 19 already an advantage, and this is scary for the Prodigies.
It very much is. Frio getting a little bit ambitious. He does spot out some intel. Quartz is going to go for the swing, but there's 2 players on the receiving end of that Kalashnikov to absolutely clean him up instead, immediately thwarting the Prodigies into a 5v3 as FNK is trying to clean up on janitor duty, but he will be shut down. Lodis, they have got an absolute, well, chokehold on this A bomb site so far, and the Prodigies are being given absolutely nothing to work with so far. And this was the first proper investment that we saw come out of them in this T half, and it really hasn't amounted to a whole lot. The bomb, it is stuck inside a no man's land. Lodis know that very well, and they don't necessarily even have to let that out of their sight. But with 15 seconds left, the Prodigies have got no options but to hold onto these 2 rifles, salvage them into the next round, and just tank the $0 as a reward moving into the next, which is not going to bode well for their overall eco either.
I'm not always necessarily a fan of saving weapons in this manner, because it's great. It's a hard one sometimes of when you save an AK like this, Straxy's not going to have a buy next round. Unless they get the bomb down or unless they win, he's probably not going to have enough money to full buy along the rest of his team. And very unfortunate from SBT, you can see his gun pokes out, so it wasn't even the double aggression that would have killed him. It was the player he was trying to find originally that would have originally killed him. So it doesn't matter if there was 1 or 2 players there, but the Prodigies are just dying all across the map one by one. They do at least save the AWP, and I'm interested to see if they can actually put it to good use now into round 20, because it's starting to get a little bit dangerous. They are trailing by 5 rounds, and Lodis, they're almost to that magical number 16.
Yeah, exactly. 4 more rounds is all that the side of Lodis need on this CT side, and the Prodigies, all in all, haven't been all too present. No luck to be found on the T side so far, and they really need to start getting this engine up and revving, because there's a gap of 5 rounds that they need to close off before we actually have a proper conversation as to what is going to happen on Vertigo. Zurus is going to do his best to put that AWP to good use, as he is fishing for an entry from the very, very bottom of RAP. And there's Virtuo. He does catch out the boost. Straxy takes a little bit of damage, setting him all the way back down to 61. But no souls lost as of yet within this 20th round.
Very, very slow all across the board. Lodis, they don't really have much aggression on this CT side either. You see that Neste all the way towards quad on B. he's yet to get tested at B at all. Freyo's just flashed himself in middle, always a good start, and Virtua as well is hanging around that middle to B as well. The players on A, you've got one on Sandbags. Will he be cleared? He has got support from Loku, the man of the hour. We know he can be dangerous, but it might not have to be him this round. It's going to have to be Polo 17. They're not clearing him. They're not expecting him to be here. Oh, this is a travesty. He actually does get blinded. And wait a second, Zurus just no-scoped him.
Okay, this changes everything. Bomb plant is going to go down and Straxy eats up that HE for breakfast, but the response coming on from Lodis is absolutely instantaneous, and that's going to claw them back into a 4v2 retake in the post plan. Quartz has an inkling that there is some sort of flank going on through, but he doesn't actually fully check out Nesty. He remains the unknown factor as Zurus and Quartz, they're isolated, simply playing from that short side. Out comes Nesty. Zurus finds contact onto one, not two. There! Oh, so close, but Nesty is going to shut down that play before it gets all too worse for the side of Lodis. Defuse successful, 13 rounds in the bag, 2 away from map point, 3 away from a W.
They just seem so unaware that, like, they know that Neste's here. And they seem to clear out the smoke and just assuming maybe he's run away towards middle, which I feel like is a bit of an oversight on their half. And they didn't necessarily need to have such rush in clearing out that angle. Very, very good attempt there from Zurus. I genuinely thought that was going to be winnable. He gets the first shot. I thought it was going to be a collateral. It just all comes down to timing on that third player that was pushing from short. And now, well, look, it's a bit of a faster play. Right up ramp, 4 players. They've already got the space.
Yeah, a drastic change of pace. Yeah, that nade is going to put Straxy on less than half HP. Frio wildly spraying through the smoke as well. Nothing on the receiving end of it thus far, as FNK on his lonesome is actually lurking, taking up the role that SBT usually does. And he's going to fish out for a little bit of intel towards mid. If he gets this opener, then it could be massive, but no, he gets shut down by the A4 instead. Nesty continuing to deliver time and time again.
That's really unfortunate. FNK forcing the issue a little bit, maybe too much, and Zurus reads that perfectly in the meantime as well. Quite to get a kill over towards headshots. So this bomb site has been opened. A lot of the counter utility has already been placed by this CT side, but Polo's got another Molotov and nade that he can afford to put down. It's going to be a little bit too late though. The nade might come just in time, and no, they are just going to hold on to it. He's still going to throw it anyway, and it actually just lands on him. This Molotov, it will probably be placed towards sandbags. It's not going to clear anyone out. Oh my god, bye-bye SBT.
Peace out.
Nesty has absolutely owned him there. Read him like a Harry Potter novel. Straxy cannot connect his bullets either. And it looks like this round is tumbling the way of the city side once again.
It might be all said and done. Quartz gets shut down as we have Zurus trying to recover and salvage this round. Finds the first, but the defuse is being stuck. He's just pixels away and can't find the shots on towards Virtuo, and he will get the exit as well. That is the side of Lodis with a flawless CT half so far, doubling up the score that the Prodigies have put down. 14 to their name, 1 away from map point and 2 away from closing things out. It got relatively sketchy for the side of Lodis when they had to actually get that retake up and running. It took them a little bit of time, but then suddenly an entire collapse came on through, and it was nothing but a sea of blue in the kill feed for Lodis.
It just feels like every single round Lodis are in the perfect position to counter exactly what the Prodigies are doing. Like, the Prodigies have never shown really any face towards the B bomb site, and in this round you see Polo starting there alongside Neste. It's like, how it seems like such a good read for Lodis. The Prodigies, they've just been read perfectly so many times. They're just playing really good Counter-Strike, Lodis.
Yeah, it is an exemplary example of, well, CS that Lodis are showing us in the servers so far. In the 4v3 scenario, the Prodigies still have got themselves an option. I did catch that smoke falling off the map as Nesty finds Straxy all on his lonesome over towards the middle of the map. Polo with a nice flick over towards Zurus finds him, and he also goes in back for seconds and eats both of them up. Lodis, they hit that glorious number 15. All that stands between them and picking up their first Vertigo win of the season is just 5 more frags.
A flawless CT half right now from the Polish squad, the Prodigies. They haven't contended whatsoever on this T side, and now on round number 23, do or die. Their economy is not in the shape you'd want it to be. 3 Galils, 2 AKs, a handful of utility, no Molotovs. Like, Lodis can just sit sandbags, and they've won the game. It's simple as that, weirdly enough.
At this certain point, they literally just need to take their hands off the keyboard and mice and just let the Prodigies dump out whatever they can. This is a really, really tough position for them to be in, and Zurus is going to try to take matters into his own hands, tries to do things the traditional way, but Loku reads into him perfectly. Polo from the back of mid also finds Quartz on the rotate as he tries to ingress over towards that heaven side. Straxy is now left by himself over towards that crate. 2 players creeping up from that staircase as Virtual shuts down Straxy. SBT and FNK left to their own devices right here, and Nesty once again continues to deliver. Virtual through the smoke finds SBT, and that is GG's in all chat. We have the side of Lodis delivering nothing but perfection on the defensive side.
Yeah, that was not what I expected. As we were saying, they had a pretty good start in that one, and then the ending just got wrecked. There's no real other way to put it. The Prodigies, they were starting so well, and it all seemed to slip away. Every single place they went, it seemed like they were being read perfectly, and that's such a hard thing to do. Is like, especially for FNK, it's like, how would you change that? You know, like, you try face towards B. Look, the AWP is there. Like, you haven't touched the bomb. You literally haven't touched the bomb site yet this half. And the first round you go there after so many, the AWP is holding for you. Like, it's stuff like that. And then the nades consistently landing in the perfect place. Every retake just seemed like there was a piece missing for the Prodigies. And yeah, that was wow, that was impressive, to be honest, from Lodis. I can give him that.
Yeah. It's I'm at a loss for words almost at this certain stage, because the Prodigies, it's clear as day that they have a couple of things that they really need to work on when it comes to the T side in general. And there was also something that you did bring up. It was their their B side presence. It's one from both of the bomb sites. It's one that they very, very rarely actually were able to hit. Dare I say, they actually didn't get a singular bomb plant at all over towards B. It was just consistent plants over towards A, and every single time they tried to pry open that door over towards B, whether it be through the staircase or over towards that mid side, they found absolutely no luck whatsoever. When they were trying to go for that boost at the very, very top of box next to elevators, Virtual was at the top of heaven, just immediately reading into that. SBT, for example, over towards Wood at the staircase boost, he was also read into it, couldn't actually find himself an opener to just give the side of Prodigies a chance. The side of Lodis, I think to me, at the very least, when I take a look at how their performance has been for Vertigo, given the fact that it was their first time playing this, they might have been hiding a couple of things on Vertigo, and they just decided, hell, this might be the best opportunity for us to just whip it out and see exactly what we have to offer. And turns out the side of Lodis, they had more than enough to offer on that CT side. And what's even more interesting is that, you know, this is something that you alluded to on the first half. Vertigo should, in theory, be one of those more balanced maps, kind of like right down towards a 50-50 win rate for both this T and CT side. Maybe a little bit more skewed over towards the T side at the very top of tier 1, but either way, for the CT side of Lodis to just immediately put down 8 flawless rounds, it's almost unheard of in my experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it quite a lot. The recent ones, for instance, I saw Montage was like 14-1 the other day. They were just destruction. C-side Vertigo, especially when you get your momentum going, it's very hard to build. I think it's a kind of the floor of T-side in general. It's very hard to build up momentum. Maps like Dust 2 is a little bit harder normally. Yeah, it was interesting as well. Their attempts of middle, you had people like Structure and FNK trying to push out middle a lot, and it just kind of, they were always doing it at, it seemed like too early, and they were being held for. But with that in mind, we do have an interview with the coach of the Prodigies, Mr. Physical, if I'm not mistaken, his name is.
Yeah, is that name?
Hello. Hey man, how you doing?
I mean,
yeah, it's a probably stupid question.
not really like happy about this match, but we just need to work. So,
looking at this game in particular, you guys had a good lead, especially on that CT side. Was there something that just clicked in the team that started to go wrong? Like, did the mentality start to decrease for the team when you start to lose?
I mean, to be honest, it's not the same situation about yesterday, but similar because we are having a lot of issues like on the mindset, on the mentality. So when we start to lose one bad round where we could play better, we just all is going down, and we need to work a lot on that because I mean I respect this guy that beat us, but I don't think that they're a lot better than us. I think that we are better than them, but we just didn't play good. We just didn't show it. So well played to them.
Yeah, it was a really, really solid performance from the side of Lodis as well, and especially when you take a look at the round history at the very least, because you guys closed off the first half with an 8-7 score line, but the side of Lodis, your opponents, they were able to claw back, if I'm not mistaken, either 4 or 5 rounds on the T side as well
we didn't
to
lose,
close off.
We didn't win a single round after that. We lose.
Yeah,
we
and
were
that's
7-3 up, and we didn't win a single round.
Yeah, and that's what that was actually leading into my next point as well, because they were able to close off the first half with 5 rounds back to back, and then continue with an extra 8 rounds in a row on the CT side. That's about 13 rounds in a row without the side of the Prodigies being able to take a single one of those victories. It must be pretty rough.
Yeah, but as I said, we are a bit on trouble right now because, for my opinion, for my point of view, we are playing bad because we don't have the right attitude. But of course, we will see the game and we will see what mistakes we have done. But I can say to you that we played in the past. We played so much better than this. So I think we really need to work on that.
With the attitude stuff, you guys were obviously at LAN this weekend, or last weekend altogether. Did that actually help with the attitude? So I know, speaking to a lot of teams in the past, whenever they go to LAN, it actually helps when you just get to meet each other more than anything.
I don't want to be I mean, on LAN I were a bit surprised because we had a really good attitude before the LAN, but after that I don't know what happened. But from the LAN, we start to be to have a wrong attitude sometimes. It's really weird, and to be honest, I don't know what is the what is the cause of that. So I don't really know, to be honest, but I think we just need to chill a bit. We just need to keep focus more, and we need to be ready for playoffs, because it doesn't matter if we lose one match now, because we are probably already in the playoffs. We just have to give our best to the players. I want that the guys will focus and give the 100% for the playoffs, because our goal is to make advanced. Advanced is not to win every game in the season. So.
Mm-hmm. And the next thing that I actually wanted to lead up, now that you also mentioned that you guys are basically locked in for playoffs entirely, moving into this period where you kind of have to rejuvenate the entire roster. You guys obviously don't have to take every single upcoming matches seriously, because you guys are already locked in with 10 wins under your belt so far. So as a coach, how are you going to be, for example, trying to address this issue of getting the overall spirits of the roster back up, given, I guess you could call it a little bit of a player break to a certain extent, just because of the fact that you've got playoffs locked in and you don't necessarily have to worry about being able to, you don't have to worry about being able to still fight for every single matchup. So the mentality moving in is that you can definitely take things a little bit more chill, but what are you as a coach going to be able to do to help, rally up the boys once again?
I think that even if we are on the playoffs already, we need to win every match. This is for practice as well. I see sometimes that our attitude, maybe even me, sometimes is different between the practice and between the official. Maybe it's normal, but we need to play with the same attitude every game. So we shouldn't care if we are already in playoffs. Every time that we need to play for improve, and we need to get better. We don't care if we are in the playoffs now already, but of course our main focus now is prepare for the playoffs. So if for example it happens that today you play bad and you lose 16-7 Vertigo, okay, we go next, we talk about the game, we talk about what we need to fix, and that's all. We move on.
Just looking at the end now, we don't want to keep you for too long. What are your plans for the rest of the year? Obviously, you've got playoffs coming up and your main goal is to make advanced. Are you doing anything before the next ESEA season starts, or are you guys going to be taking an extended break?
To be honest, we don't really know. Like the next week, we're gonna have already a break. So, I don't really know, to be honest, what we're gonna do after. I don't think it will be necessary to take a break because I have the mentality that I want to play this game every day. So, I mean, we are in December. Like the next season will be in like in the next year. So, I mean, the only period when I take some breaks is in summer. So I think we will not take a break and we will just practice and play because we need to get better every day.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for joining us, man, and I wish you good luck in your next game.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening and see you next. Bye bye. Much love from Italy.